Once upon a time, in a quiet and beautiful village called Odu, there lived a young girl named Ada. She was known all over the village, not just because she was beautiful, but because she had a sweet and gentle heart. Her smile could light up any room. People would say, "That girl, Ada, she's the daughter every mother wishes for." She lived with her father, Papa Obi, a hard-working farmer, who loved Ada more than anything in the world. Since her mother died when she was only 5 years old, her father raised her alone. He never remarried. For years, he poured all his love, strength, and energy into raising his only child. Every evening, father and daughter would sit under the mango tree in front of their house, talking about life, laughing about small things, and dreaming about the future. Papa Obi would say, "My Ada, you are my everything. One day, I will make sure you marry a good man, someone who will treat you like gold." And Ada would laugh and say, "As long as he is like you, Papa, I will be happy." But, as life often does, things changed quickly and painfully. When Ada turned 17, her father became very sick. He was getting old, and farming became too hard. One day, he gathered the elders and said, "I have decided to marry again. Ada needs a mother. I don't want to leave this world without knowing someone will care for her." The villagers understood, and soon Papa Obi married a widow from a nearby village. Her name was Madame Ego, and she came with her own daughter named Amaka, who was around Ada's age. At first, things seemed fine. Madame Ego was quiet, respectful, and always had a smile on her face, especially when Papa Obi was around. But Ada felt something wasn't right. There was a strange look in Madame Ego's eyes, something cold, something fake. And sadly, Ada was right. From the moment Papa Obi left for the farm, Madame Ego's real face came out. She became strict, rude, and cold. At first, Ada tried to stay quiet, thinking maybe her stepmother would soften with time. But it only got worse. "Why are you just standing there?" Madame Ego would shout. "Go and sweep the whole compound. And make sure the kitchen is clean. Useless girl." Meanwhile, Amaka did nothing. She would sit on a stool, painting her nails or gossiping with neighbors while Ada worked from morning till night. "You are nothing but a house girl in this house," Amaka would whisper, smirking. "This is no longer your father's home, it's ours now." Ada would cry sometimes, but she kept quiet. She didn't want to bring more trouble. And worst of all, her father never saw any of it. Madame Ego acted sweet and gentle whenever he was around. She would bring him food, massage his feet, and act like the perfect wife. Papa Obi had no idea that his little girl was suffering every day. One night, as Ada served dinner, she overheard Madame Ego whispering to Amaka, "Don't worry, my daughter. Soon this whole house will be ours. We just need to wait." Wait for what? Ada didn't know. But her heart began to worry. And then, everything changed. It was the rainy season, when Papa Obi fell sick. What started as a small fever became something worse. He couldn't go to the farm anymore. He would lie in bed, sweating and shivering, while Ada sat by his side, wiping his forehead. "Papa, don't worry," she said gently. "You will be fine. I'm here." But Madame Ego had no time for the sick man. She barely visited his room. She stopped cooking for him. "He's old," she said. "Let nature take its course." Ada did everything she could, even selling some of her father's tools to buy herbs. But nothing worked. After 3 weeks, Papa Obi took his last breath while holding Ada's hand. "My daughter," he whispered. "Forgive me. I should have protected you. Papa, please don't leave me." Ada cried, holding him tightly. But it was too late. The whole village came to bury him. They sang, they cried, and they praised him. But nobody knew what was waiting for Ada after the funeral. Madame Ego changed immediately. "This house now belongs to me," she announced, not even waiting one full day. "Ada, from now on, you will do as I say. You have no land, no money, nothing here. If you don't like it, you can leave." Ada couldn't believe it. Her father was barely in the ground, and already, she was being treated like a stranger in her own home. Her heart broke, but she had nowhere to go. A few weeks after the burial, Madame Ego called Ada early in the morning. Her voice was as sharp as a knife. Go and wash the pots, sweep the whole compound, then come back to me, she shouted. Ada quickly obeyed. Her hands were shaking, and her heart was heavy. Ever since her father's death, every day felt like a nightmare. When she returned, Madame Ego was sitting in a wooden chair, smiling. But it was not a kind smile. Sit down, she said coldly. I have good news for you. Ada sat down slowly, wondering what kind of good news could come from this woman. A young man came here yesterday, Madame Ego said. His name is Chuka. He wants to marry you. Ada's eyes widened in shock. Chuka. That poor boy who begs for leftover yams in the market. Yes, him, Madame Ego replied, as if it were something exciting. I told him you are available. We already agreed. You're getting married next week. Ada stood up. No, Mama, I can't. He has nothing. He lives in a broken hut. He can't even feed himself. Before she could say more, a hard slap landed on her cheek. You will marry him, Madame Ego screamed. You think you are a princess. Where's your gold? Where's your land? You're just a girl with nothing. You're lucky someone even wants you. Tears fell down Ada's cheeks. She ran to her small room, buried her face in her wrapper, and wept. Her heart broke again. But the worst part, nobody came to help. Within days, the news spread across the village like wildfire. Ada, the once beautiful daughter of Papa Obi, is marrying Chuka. The poorest man in Odu village. People laughed behind her back. Some even laughed to her face. Ah, Ada, one woman said. So this is your reward for beauty? Marrying a beggar. Maybe she's cursed, someone else said. She should have married before her father died. On the day of the small wedding, only a few people attended. No music, no dance, no feast. Just Chuka in an oversized shirt and Ada in her faded gown. As they walked through the village, heading to Chuka's home, children pointed and laughed. See the beggar's wife. But Ada didn't cry. Not this time. Her eyes were dry, her face calm. Deep down, something inside her whispered, this is not the end of your story. Chuka's home was nothing like what Ada had known. It was a small mud house with no windows. The roof leaked when it rained. There was no bed, no chair, only a mat on the floor and one cooking pot. Chuka looked nervous. I'm sorry, he said gently. This is all I have. Ada looked around. The house smelled of smoke and dust. Her feet were muddy. But when she looked into Chuka's eyes, she saw something she hadn't seen in weeks. Kindness. It's okay, she said quietly. We will manage. And that night, for the first time in a long time, Ada slept with peace in her heart. Not because her life was perfect. But because, for once, someone treated her like a human being. Life with Chuka was hard. But peaceful. Every morning, he would go to the bush to fetch firewood or hunt small animals, then go to the market to sell them. Ada stayed home, cleaned the little compound, fetched water, and prepared simple meals. One day, Ada found a small patch of land behind their house. The soil was soft, even though weeds had taken over. Chuka, she said, can I try planting something here? Chuka smiled. Of course, my wife. If you can make this place grow, it will be a blessing. With her bare hands, Ada cleared the land. She found old seeds that someone had thrown away. Pepper, okra, and maize. She planted them, watered them every day, and talked to them like babies. Grow well, she whispered. Let this house feel alive. Weeks passed. Green leaves shot out of the ground. Little by little, the land came to life. One evening, Chuka returned from the forest, looking tired, but his eyes were bright with excitement. Ada, he said, today in the bush, I found a hidden stream with clean, cold water. That's good, she said. No, wait, there's more. I saw some strange roots growing near it. Old herbalists say those roots can heal fever and pain. I took some and gave them to Mama Nkechi at the market. She said they worked better than any medicine. Ada sat up. Then why don't we dry the roots and sell them? That night, they made a plan. Chuka would bring the roots. Ada would wash, cut, and dry them under the sun. Then she would grind them and wrap them in small leaves. They called it nature's power. At first, only a few people bought it. But when they saw how well it worked, the demand exploded. Soon, villagers lined up in front of their little house, waiting to buy Ada's herbal powder. From one product, they added more: herbal soap, healing oil, and even a strong pepper mix for cooking. They were no longer poor. One sunny afternoon, Madame Ego passed by the market. She heard people shouting, "Give me Ada's powder. Chuka's herbs saved my son." What a wonderful couple. Madame Ego stopped. "Which Ada?" she asked. "The same Ada you forced to marry that poor man," someone answered. She froze. She walked straight to their stall and saw them smiling, selling herbs like royalty. Ada looked beautiful. Her wrapper was clean, her face was glowing. Madame Ego's eyes burned with jealousy. So she returned to the village and spread lies. She used witchcraft. She shouted. "That's not hard work. It's evil powers." Some people believed her, but most people didn't. "She's just angry." Because her wicked plan failed, the villagers whispered. And Ada, she didn't say a word. She just smiled and kept working. Months passed. Chuka and Ada were now respected in the village. Their herbal business grew bigger every day. With the money they saved, they bought a piece of land at the center of Odu village. "Are you sure about this?" Ada asked. Chuka nodded. "Yes. We have outgrown our little mud house. It's time to build something better." Brick by brick, a new house began to rise. It had strong walls, glass windows, and a zinc roof that didn't leak. The house had 3 rooms, a sitting room, a kitchen, and even a small backyard garden. Children passing by would stop and stare. "Is that the same Ada and Chuka?" they would whisper. The same people who once mocked Ada now came to her door with gifts. "You are truly blessed," they said. But Ada remained humble. "It's not magic. It's hard work and patience." She never forgot the place she came from but she used it as fuel to keep moving forward. One day, Madame Ego came to their new home. She stood outside the gate, looking unsure. Ada saw her from the window. For a moment, her heart froze. All the old memories came rushing back. But she stepped outside and said, "Good afternoon, Ma." Madame Ego looked tired, older, and full of shame. I came to ask for help," she said quietly. "Amaka is sick. We don't have money for the hospital." Ada was silent. After everything this woman did, after the insults, the beatings, the forced marriage, now she was asking for help. But Chuka came out, stood beside his wife, and said, "Let's go. We will take you to the clinic." And that's what they did. They paid for Amaka's treatment. They even sent food and clothes to their house. Ada didn't do it to show off. She did it because she was not like Madame Ego. As their business grew, it began to attract attention outside the village. One day, a man in a suit and dark glasses arrived from the city. His name was Mr. Felix. He was a big businessman who sold herbal products across the country. "I heard about your work," he said. "I've never seen such clean, natural medicine made this way. I want to partner with you." Chuka and Ada looked at each other. "What do you mean by partner?" Mr. Felix smiled. "I'll take your products to the city and sell them. We'll open a small factory. I'll help with machines, packaging, and transport. You just keep making the magic." Ada couldn't believe it. From sleeping on a mat to building a factory. They agreed. And things changed fast. The factory opened 3 months later. Young people in the village were employed. Trucks began coming in and out of Odu daily. The village that once laughed at them now celebrated them. They were no longer just Ada and Chuka. They were now Chief and Madam Ada Chuka. The richest couple in Odu. Odu village. Had never seen anything like it before. The elders called for a village-wide celebration to honor Chuka and Ada. Masquerades danced in the streets. Drums echoed from every corner. Children wore new clothes and sang songs that praised Ada's wisdom and Chuka's strength. The village square was filled with people, young and old, all clapping and smiling. During the celebration, the village chief stood up and said, "Years ago, this same Ada was mocked and mistreated. Today, she stands tall, not because of magic, but because of hard work, kindness, and humility." Ada's eyes filled with tears, but she smiled. Her hands held Chuka's tightly. She whispered, "Can you believe this is us?" Chuka nodded. "It's only the beginning, my queen." That night, fireworks lit up the sky. And for the first time in a long time, Ada felt truly seen, loved, and honored. Not everyone was happy, though. The same villagers who once mocked Ada began trying to draw close. Some with fake smiles, others with hidden jealousy. A few even tried to copy their herbal business but failed. One woman, Mama Nijika, said, "Ada must be using charm. There's no way two poor people can become so rich so fast." But Ada didn't respond. She kept her heart clean and her focus strong. When Mama Nijika's own business failed, Ada sent her a gift basket filled with food and money. Chuka shook his head. "You're too kind, Ada." She smiled. "It's better to bless your enemy than become like them." Now wealthy and respected, Ada and Chuka didn't forget the people who helped them during their lowest moments. They built a water borehole for the village. No more fetching water from the dirty stream. They paid school fees for orphan children and gave jobs to youth who were once idle. They even built a small clinic and named it after Ada's late father, Obi Healing Center. One evening, as Ada watched children playing in the clinic's yard, her heart swelled with peace. "This was the life I dreamed of as a little girl," she said. Chuka wrapped his arms around her. "You brought the dream to life." Their love grew stronger. Their roots went deeper. They were no longer just husband and wife. They were a movement, a symbol of hope to many. One bright morning, a convoy of cars rolled into Odu village. People rushed out of their homes, wondering what was happening. To everyone's surprise, it was the state governor himself. He stepped out in a fine white outfit and walked straight to Ada and Chuka's home. With him were news reporters, cameramen, and local government officials. "I have heard of your great works," the governor said, shaking Chuka's hand. "You have not only built a business, but you have lifted your entire community." He handed them a golden plaque. It read, "Presented to Chief Chuka and Madam Ada, Pillars of Hope and Development." He also announced that the state would partner with their herbal factory to produce medicine for rural hospitals. Ada was speechless. Chuka whispered in her ear, "Can you believe the same people who once laughed at us are now watching us on TV?" She laughed gently. "God's plan is bigger than man's mockery." As the village cheered and celebrated Ada and Chuka's success, Madame Ego sat quietly in her house, staring at the ceiling. Her pride was gone. Her voice was no longer loud. She had become a shadow of herself. One evening, she asked Ada to visit her. When Ada arrived, Madame Ego burst into tears. "Forgive me, Ada. I was cruel. I tried to destroy you, but you still showed me love. You are better than I ever was." Ada held her hands. "Mama, I forgave you long ago. I didn't become who I am by keeping bitterness in my heart." That night, they cried together, not out of pain, but from healing. From that day, Ada visited her often, sending her food, medicine, and love, even when she didn't ask. Years later, Ada and Chuka became legends in Odu village. Their herbal business turned into a large company known across the state. Their children studied in the best schools, but they were taught to be humble and kind, just like their parents. On her 60th birthday, the entire village came together to honor Ada. She stood at the same spot where villagers once laughed at her and said, "When you are forced into a storm, don't sink. Learn how to swim. Sometimes, what looks like a curse may lead you to your biggest blessing." The crowd clapped. Children looked at her with admiration. Ada turned and looked at Chuka. Her once poor husband who became the richest, kindest man she ever knew. He smiled and said, "You were my miracle. And I was yours." Their story became a song in Odu village. A song that would never be forgotten. And so, the girl who was once rejected, the girl who was forced into a life of suffering, rose to become the queen of her own destiny. Her kindness changed lives. Her patience brought blessings. And the poor man she was forced to marry became the richest and most respected man in the village. Let this story remind us, never look down on anyone, because tomorrow holds mysteries only God understands. The end. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more powerful African tales. See you in the next one.